Hello students, I trust you've been enjoying the class so far. Please, it will mean a lot to us if you could hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so that you'll be the first to be notified when we have a new content. Also like, share and leave a comment. Thank you. Let's go to number 71. Which of the following organism does not undergo incomplete metamorphosis? The correct answer is obviously C. Butterfly undergoes complete metamorphosis. Butterfly, housefly, and the rest of them, they undergo complete metamorphosis, whereas locusts, grasshoppers, cockroach, and even termites, they undergo incomplete metamorphosis. So the correct answer here is C. Butterfly does not undergo incomplete metamorphosis. Butterfly does undergo complete metamorphosis. Number 72. An enzyme reaction may begin to decline when option A, the optimum temperature is attained. No. Option B, the pH of the medium is altered. Absolutely, that's the correct answer. An enzyme reaction may begin to decline, may begin to deteriorate. That's the meaning of decline, deteriorate, or decrease when the pH of the medium is altered. We should know that enzymes have certain characteristics. Number one, we know that they're specific in action. They only catalyze certain reactions. For example, pepsin can only catalyze reactions that involve protein. Thiolane or salivary amylase can only catalyze reactions that involve carbohydrates, and so on and so forth. But another characteristic of enzyme that is very important is enzymes are also pH dependent. Enzyme can only act in certain pH. For example, the thiolane, that is the salivary amylase, the enzyme present in the saliva, can only act in alkaline medium. And if I'm talking about the enzyme located in our stomach, talk about pepsin and renin, they can only work in acidic medium. So imagine that we have thiolane that can only work in alkaline medium. If the pH of the mouth now is altered and the pH decreases from, say, 8, we know that pH of 8 symbolizes alkalinity. If it decreases to, say, 4, that's acidity. The enzymatic reaction of that particular thiolane will definitely begin to decline because thiolane cannot work in acidic medium. It can only work in alkaline medium. So an enzyme reaction may begin to decline when the pH of the medium is altered. The answer here is B, number 73. The diagram, you can see the diagram here, is an illustration of the growth of a plant in a water culture. After a few days, the solution turned green and the plant died. We have to use this to answer questions 73 and 74. Let's take a look at question 73. What precaution should have been taken to prevent the solution from turning green? First things first, what made the solution to turn green? That is because of the growth of algae. It is the growth of algae in that particular solution that brought about the solution turning green. And the growth of, when algae begin to grow in the solution, algae will have used all the nutrients available to the plant. And when all the nutrients have been used up by algae, then there will be no nutrients left for the plant. And that is why the plant eventually died. So let's look at this question now. What precautions should have been taken to prevent the solution from turning green? We should have, at least the precaution needed to have been taken will be to prevent the growth of algae. And how do we prevent the growth of algae? By covering the culture vessel with an opaque paper. We know opaque paper will prevent light from entering in, and algae cannot grow or develop in the absence of light. They need light to be able to grow. So if precaution has been taken to cover the culture vessel with an opaque paper, that particular solution will have been prevented from turning green. So the correct answer here is option C. Cover the culture vessel with opaque paper. That will have prevented the growth of algae. The correct option is C. Let's go to number 74. The death of the plant was likely caused by dash. I've explained that earlier. Number 73 is caused by algal growth in the solution that used up the nutrients because of the rapid growth of algae in the solution. All the nutrients that are meant for the plant being cultured have been used up by the algae that are growing in it, and because of that, the plant is starved of nutrients and then it eventually died. So the death of the plant was likely caused due to algal growth in the solution that used up the nutrients. C is the correct answer here. Number 75. Which of the following factors is not necessary for photosynthesis? The correct answer here is wind. We know that water is necessary for photosynthesis. Carbon dioxide is necessary for photosynthesis. Sunlight is necessary for photosynthesis. Chlorophyll is necessary for photosynthesis. Wind, on the other hand, is not necessary for photosynthesis. Oxygen is also not necessary for photosynthesis. So the correct answer here is option C. Wind is not necessary for photosynthesis. Don't forget that the major byproduct, the only byproduct of photosynthesis is oxygen gas. That is why oxygen alongside the wind are unnecessary for photosynthesis. Number 76. Autotrophic nutrition is a process whereby an organism obtains its food. If you look at the options, the correct answer here should be B, by synthesizing simple substances using energy. That's the correct answer, because photosynthesis occurs during autotrophic nutrition. Green plants are autotrophs. Autotrophs are those organisms that can tap energy from the sun. That's the meaning of using energy from the sun to produce simple substances such as glucose. All right, so the correct answer here is B. Autotrophic nutrition is a process whereby an organism obtains food by synthesizing simple substances like glucose using energy. That's talking about energy from the sun. That's number 76, B. Number 77, the process that takes place at the light stage of photosynthesis is dash. That's definitely option A, splitting of water molecules to form hydrogen ion. That is actually the second stage during photosynthesis. We know that photosynthesis occurs in two stages, the light phase and then the dark phase. The light phase involves exposure of the leaf or the plant to sunlight. During the first stage, the chlorophyll are energized, and during the second stage, photolysis of water occurs. That's the meaning of splitting of water molecule. Photolysis, photolight. Lysis means breaking down or splitting. So the process that takes place at the light stage of photosynthesis is definitely option A, splitting or photolysis of water molecule to form hydrogen ion. Number 78. The diagram below is an illustration of the food of an animal. Then the adaptation of this type of food is that it is, first things first, if you look at the feet here, we can see that it is webbed. The digits are webbed, and we know that webbed feet is an adaptation for aquatic habitat, organisms that actually live or source for food in water bodies like a duck, for example. Not only that, you can see the digits here, they have sharp and curved claws, and that can only mean that they are using this as a device for killing their prey. So if you look at the options here, the one that is correct is D, used for killing prey in water. Why is it water? Because they have webbed digits, and then killing prey because you can see the claws here are sharp and curved. So the correct option is D, number 79. The following organisms are examples of carnivorous plants, except if you look at all the options, the only one that is not a carnivorous plant is Gloriosa. Now, Gloriosa is just a flowering plant. It's not a carnivorous plant. Don't forget, carnivorous plants are also called insectivorous plants. And insectivorous plants or carnivorous plants are usually found in nitrogen deficient soil. As a result of that, they kill insects and use that particular insect, they digest them and extract nitrogen from them to supplement, to augment the nitrogen in the soil that I've said earlier is deficient in nitrogen. Venus flytrap is an example of insectivorous plant or carnivorous plant. Piscia plant is definitely a carnivorous plant. Utricularia is also an example of insectivorous plant, but Gloriosa is not an example. So the correct answer here is option A. Hello students, I trust you've been enjoying the class so far. If yes, please hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so that you'll be promptly notified whenever a new content is uploaded. Don't also forget to like, to share, and to leave us a comment. Thank you very much. Let's go back to our question. Let's go to number 80. Plants and animals of an ecosystem make up the dash. That is the community. All right? Plants and animals of an ecosystem make up the community. It can be population because by definition, population are a group of organisms of the same species. Plants and animals are not of the same species. So the answer here is community. Community is defined as a group of organisms of different species living in a particular area at a particular time. The correct option is option C, number 81. Rabbits cannot survive in an aquatic habitat because they have no gills. That's definitely option B. We know that for an organism to be able to survive in an aquatic habitat, such an organism must possess gill, which is used by majority, if not all aquatic organisms for respiration. Rabbits possess lungs. They don't possess gills. Gills are necessary for organisms to survive and live successfully in aquatic habitat. The correct option is B. Rabbits cannot survive an aquatic habitat because rabbits don't have gills. Number 82. Okay, number 82. The illustration below is the food chain, and the food chain: grass to grasshopper, grasshopper to domestic fowl to hawk. The question now is, what will happen if the population of domestic fowl decreases? Now domestic fowl is here. If the population of domestic fowl decreases, what will happen? If you look at the option here, domestic fowl is fed on by hawk. So which means if the population of domestic fowl decreases, there will be lesser food for the hawk. So we expect that the population of hawk will decrease. Not only that, if the population of domestic fowl decreases, domestic fowl feed on grasshopper. So if there are fewer domestic fowl, there will be higher number of grasshopper because there will be fewer predators to feed on them. So if you look at the options, option A, grasshopper will decrease. That's wrong. Hawks will increase. Hawk won't increase because hawk are going to have fewer food. That's domestic fowl to feed on. Option C, grasshoppers will increase. Absolutely, that's the correct answer. So the grasshopper will increase. Why would they increase? Because what feeds on them, domestic fowl that is, will have decreased. So when the population of domestic fowl decreases, the population of grasshopper will increase. The correct option here is C. Grasshoppers will increase. Option C, number 83. Which of the following features is a characteristic of aquatic plants? Possession of A, multiple epidermis, B, heavily lignified tissue, C, finely divided leaves, and D, succulent stem. To start with, succulent stem is not a characteristic of an aquatic plant. Succulent plant is a characteristic of a plant found in arid land like desert where there are fewer water, because the succulent stem will be able to store water to conserve water. So finely divided leaves. What does that mean? When the leaves are finely divided, it provides a large surface area for water to be lost from them. Option B, heavily lignified tissues. Now, this is the correct answer, heavily lignified tissues, because when the tissues are heavily lignified, they are strengthened. And because of that, water current that can damage the plant in water bodies in aquatic habitat. Remember, the water tide can have dangerous effect, can actually destroy the plant that are in aquatic habitat. But when they are heavily lignified, because this lignin, at least there is a particular tissue called a lignin, it ensures that they are stronger, and because of that, they are able to withstand any pressure being provided by ocean tide and water current. So the correct answer here is B, heavily lignified tissues. Number 84. An association between living organisms in which one organism lives on and feeds at the expense of the other organism is known as definitely parasitism. A parasite feeds on and lives on another organism at the expense of the other organism. So a parasite benefits while the host on which the parasite lives and feeds on actually loses. So a feeding relationship where one organism benefits and the other one loses is called parasitism. If you look at option A, mutualism, it's also called symbiosis. It's an association between two organisms when the two of them benefit. An example of mutualism is a lichen. A lichen is made up of an algae and a fungus. An algae is an autotrophic organism. It can manufacture its own food, but it doesn't have that ability to absorb nutrients. So that's where fungus comes in. The fungus helps to absorb nutrients, that is water and mineral salt. That is, those water and mineral salt will be used by algae to manufacture the food, and then the algae will manufacture the food, and the fungus that helps in absorbing the water and mineral will benefit from it. Another example of mutualism is what we refer to as mycorrhiza. Mycorrhiza is an association between a flowering plant and a fungus at the root of such a flowering plant. If I talk about commensalism, commensalism is an association between two organisms whereby one benefits and the other neither benefits nor loses. An example of commensalism is observed in the relationship between shark and the small fish remora that attaches itself to it. So the correct answer here is parasitism. Number 85. When a large number of organisms share limited resources, this results in definitely competition. Whenever there are very few or limited resources for a large group of organisms, they begin to compete among each other. That's definitely competition. Don't forget, when the competition is between organisms of the same species, we call it intraspecific competition. When the competition is between organisms of different species, we call it interspecific competition. The correct answer here is D, competition. Number 86. Which of the following behaviors is correctly matched with the corresponding diseases? Option A, smoking cigarette. When a person smokes cigarettes, does it cause liver cirrhosis? It doesn't. Can it cause lung cancer? Definitely it can. Can it cause AIDS? It can. So option A can't be correct, because even though cigarette smoking causes lung cancer, it doesn't cause liver cirrhosis. Liver cirrhosis is usually caused by excessive consumption of alcohol, and AIDS is usually, among other things, is sexually transmitted. It can be gotten also through taking or receiving blood that is not screened, and then sharing sharp object, needles and the like that are not sterilized. So let's look at option B. Having multiple sexual partners, can it cause liver cirrhosis? It can't. Can it cause syphilis? It can, definitely. And AIDS, even though having multiple partners can cause syphilis, which is a bacterial disease caused by Treponema pallidum, and AIDS, it cannot cause liver cirrhosis. So option B is incorrect. Now, living near dirty gutter, can it cause lung cancer? It can't. Can it cause syphilis? It can't. Can it cause liver blindness? Definitely, because living near dirty gutter, if there are water bodies there, then there can be black fly, because black fly is the vector of liver blindness. Don't forget, liver blindness is also called onchocerciasis. The vector is black fly. So option B, option C is incorrect, because living near dirty gutter cannot cause lung cancer. It can also not cause syphilis. That leaves us the correct answer, D. Eating uncooked meal. If we eat uncooked meal, it can cause dysentery, definitely. It can cause cholera, and since the food is uncooked, it can contain certain poisonous materials or toxins, so it can cause food poisoning. The correct answer is D. Number 87 now. Endangered species are organisms that are, now when we say endangered species, we're talking about those organisms that are likely to go extinct. Now, when we say something goes extinct, that is, it disappears from the surface of the earth. Now, there are a lot of organisms that have actually pre-existed before now, but we don't find them anymore. They've gone extinct. Those organisms that are likely to go extinct and disappear from the surface of the earth, we refer to them as endangered species. The correct option is option B, number 88. Which of the following practices is a wildlife conservation method? So if you take a look at these 4 practices here, we will see that the only one out of these 4 practices that actually encourages wildlife conservation is discouraging poaching. Now, when poaching is discouraged, when people are prevented from poaching or from illegally, unlawfully killing animals, especially those animals that are in restricted areas like parks, like in all these reservation areas and so on and so forth, because that's what poaching is. Poaching is that illegal or unlawful killing of animals in certain restricted area. So when poaching is discouraged, wildlife will be conserved. So number 88, the correct answer is definitely D. Number 89. Which of the following resources cannot be conserved? Forests can be conserved, definitely. Water can be conserved, definitely. Soil can be conserved. Garbage cannot be conserved. So the correct answer is D. Number 90. The diagram below are illustrations of type of comb found in domestic fowl. We have to study them and use them to answer questions 90 and 91. Let's take a look at number 90. The types of comb show definitely variation, because let's take a look at the diagram. You can see this is the original comb. It varies from this comb varies from this, and this comb varies from this. So this definitely shows a pattern of gradual variation. So the correct answer there is variation, option A. Number 91. Which factor is most likely responsible for the various types of comb? The correct answer is genetics. Genetics is the most likely. Remember, environment can bring about variation, but the question is specifically asking us which factor is most likely responsible for the various types of the comb. That is genetics. That is, if different fowls with different combs are mated together, that is talking about genetics, the gene derived from them. Genetics, that's the correct answer here. Number 91 is B. Number 92, which of the following statements about mitosis is not correct? Which of the following statements about mitosis is not correct? If you look at the 4 options, chiasmata are not formed. Of course, we know chiasmata are not formed. So that's correct about mitosis. Bivalents are not formed. That's also correct about mitosis. During mitosis, bivalents are not formed. Not only that, it does not lead to variation. We know that mitosis do also not lead to variation. And the correct question is D. 4 daughter cells are produced. We know that during mitosis, only 2 daughter cells are produced, not 4 daughter cells. It is only in meiosis that 4 daughter cells are produced. So out of these 4 statements, the one that is not correct about mitosis is 4 daughter cells are produced. 4 daughter cells are not produced during mitosis. Only 2 daughter cells are produced. So the correct answer is D. Number 93. A mixture of blood with antigen A and blood containing antibody A will definitely lead to agglutination or clumping. Because let's take a look at this. Antigen A, emphasis on A, and antibody A, emphasis on A here. Whenever similar antigen and antibody similar, A. Whenever similar antigen and antibody mix together, it leads to agglutination or clumping. So the correct answer is A. And that is the reason why before blood transfusion is carried out, the blood of the donor and the intended recipient has to be cross-matched to ensure that clumping or agglutination does not occur. The correct answer once again is A. Number 94. Plants suitable for experiment in genetics must be dash. Now, if we remember when Gregor Mendel was carrying out his famous experiment that led to the modern development of genetics, he carried out the experiment on the pea plant. And one of the major characteristics of pea plant that made it to be so suitable and successful for Gregor Mendel is the fact that pea plants are annual plants. And by annual plant, it means that they actually have a short lifespan. So let's come back to the question now. Plants suitable for experiment in genetics must not. If you look at the correct answer, if you look at the options here, the correct answer will be option D. Must not produce one generation in a long period. A plant that is suitable for experiment in genetics must be able to produce one generation in a short period. So it must not produce one generation in a long period. And that is why pea plant was very, very successful for Gregor Mendel, because pea plant is an annual plant. It has a short lifespan. It produces one generation in a very short period, not in a long period. The correct answer here is D. Let's go to number 95. Which of the following statements about sickle cell anemia is correct? Now, if you look at the option A, it is caused by sex-linked genes. B, it is more common in males than female. C, two sickle cell carriers parents may have sickling child. And D, it is caused by recessive gene. So the correct answer, the most correct answer here is C. Remember once again, which of the following statements about sickle cell anemia is correct? Two sickle cell carriers. As we can see, and it's still on the board here, when both parents, both male and female, are carriers, AS, they may produce or give birth to a child who is a sickler with SS. So the correct option is C. Two sickle cell carriers parents may have a sickling child. Option C, that's the correct answer. Number 96. In humans, pointed eyebrows, that's capital letter B, is a dominant trait over smooth eyebrow. That's small letter B. A student and the mother have smooth eyebrows, while the father has pointed eyebrow. What is the genotype of the father? Let's take a look at the board and find out how we can get this. We are told that the eyebrow in humans, pointed eyebrow B, is dominant. It's a dominant trait over smooth eyebrow, small letter B. A student and the mother have smooth eyebrows. So if this is the father and mother, now we are told that both the students, that's the offspring, and the mother have smooth eyebrow. That is B. So which means the mother is having B, and then that particular student is also B, because both of them, according to the question, are having smooth eyebrow. Then we are looking for what will be the genotype of the father. Will it be BB? Don't forget that B, the pointed eyebrow, capital letter B, is dominant over the smooth eyebrow. So if the mother is having the smooth eyebrow and the student is also having the smooth eyebrow, it can only mean that this particular father is having B or B, so that the mother, remember, is homozygous recessive, and then the father is heterozygous dominant. So this can easily be derived. The student can gain the B here, that is for the smooth eyebrow, from the father, and that translates to option B. Because if you look at this, if this is BB, it means that this will become BB. Don't forget that this capital letter B, that is for pointed eyebrow, is dominant over small letter b. So this particular student would not have had smooth eyebrow. He would have had, or he or she would have had, a pointed eyebrow. So the correct answer would be B. That is heterozygous for the pointed eyebrow, which is dominant over the recessive one, because we are told that the students here, don't forget, and the mother, both of them are having the smooth eyebrow, which is recessive. So the correct answer for that is option B. Let's go to number 97 now. A woman with rhesus factor negative blood group was advised not to marry a man with rhesus factor positive blood group because option A, it will hinder her from having blood transfusion from her husband. That's definitely incorrect. Option B, it will result in sickness and probably death of the offspring. That's the correct answer. This is an example of rhesus incompatibility. When a woman is rhesus factor negative and married to a man who is rhesus factor positive, rhesus factor incompatibility can occur, especially during the second, third, and subsequent pregnancy. The very first pregnancy is usually accepted because the child, the fetus inside, can actually inherit the rhesus factor positive from the husband, and which means the fetus will now be rhesus factor positive compared to the rhesus factor negative in the mother. And the rhesus factor antibody can pass through the placenta from the mother to the bloodstream of the fetus and begin to destroy the red blood cell and cause a situation called erythroblastosis fetalis. We can bring about the death of that particular child. So the correct answer here is B. Don't forget that rhesus factor incompatibility, apart from the fact that it can cause sickness and death in offspring, another effect of rhesus factor incompatibility is jaundice. Okay, so jaundice can result as a result of rhesus factor incompatibility. Once again, the correct answer is B, number 98. Which of the following organisms exhibits division of labor? We know that the organisms that exhibit division of labor are organisms that are termed social animals or social insects. And among these options, the only insect that is a social insect is termite. Termite is a social insect. Bees is another example of social insect. And one of the advantages of organisms of insect exhibit that social behavior is division of labor. Each of the castes will have their respective function they perform in that particular setup. In the case of termite, there is the king. The king mates with the queen. That's the job of the king. There is the queen that lays the egg. That's what the queen does. There is the worker that builds the termitarium, and then there is the soldier that defends that particular termitarium. So every one of them, every caste, has their respective job that they exhibit, and that is a classic example of division of labor. So the correct option is C. Don't forget, like I've said, bees also exhibit this division of labor, and by extension, bees are also examples of social animal. But in the case of bees, you have drone, not king. The drone is the male one that mates with the queen. It actually does mate with the queen once and dies. Then the queen lays the egg, and then we also have the worker that forages for all this pollen and build the hives and all this honey that we consume. So the correct option once again is C. Let's go to number 99. Natural selection arises as a result of dash. Now, natural selection arises as a result of gene mutation. There has been a particular school of thought that allude natural selection to climatic change, but gene mutation has overwhelmingly been attributed to what brings about natural selection, because when organisms begin to struggle in a particular environment or habitat, not all of them will survive, according to the British naturalist called Charles Darwin. Now, organisms that survive will pass on the gene to the offspring, and these genes undergo mutation along the way. So gene mutation is the major effect of natural selection. So that's option A. Number 100, the very last question. Which of the following statements is not Lamarck's postulate on evolution? We know Jean Lamarck, the French biologist, also contributed to evolution alongside scientists like Charles Darwin, like Hugo de Vries and Wallace. And Jean Lamarck actually brought about the idea of use and disuse of body parts. So let's look at the options and see which of these is not a postulate of Jean Lamarck. A. great changes in the environment result in corresponding changes in the species. That is not a postulate of Jean Lamarck. That is a postulate of Charles Darwin. So the correct answer here is A. As a matter of fact, if you look at option B, frequently used organs become well developed, while the ones not used become vestigial. And we know that is a postulate of Jean Lamarck. That is actually the theory of use and disuse of body part. Not only that, well-developed acquired characters are inheritable. That is another postulate of Jean Lamarck. Don't forget that this particular postulate, that is, well-developed acquired characteristics are inheritable, it has been proven to be fallacious, to be incorrect, because they are not. Acquired characteristics are not actually inheritable, but that's one of the postulates of Jean Lamarck. And option D, survivors in a competitive community must have inherited useful traits. That's also another example of the postulate. So the correct answer here is A. Great changes in the environment result in corresponding changes in species. That is attributed to Charles Darwin, not Jean Lamarck. The correct option for number 100 is A. Hello students, I trust that you've enjoyed the class. Please, if you do, hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so that you'll be notified as soon as we upload new content. Don't also forget to like, to share, and to leave us a comment. We appreciate you and we welcome your comment and suggestion. Thank you very much. See you in the next one.